There you go. That's good. Okay, so I'm so sorry for that. But you know, it's part of the whole game of like choosing different places. You never know what you're gonna find out. But life is like that. You have to be adaptable. Deals are gonna be the same way. You open a wall and then you find something else. So you have to figure out a way to make it happen. So it's the same thing. So again, thank you so much for the sponsors here. We have REI Queens for women that want to empower themselves, be around other women in real estate. We have Home Inc. That's the company I work with. We do off-market discounted deals. So we buy distressed homes and we sell them as well to investors. And Sunshine Housing and Management. This has short-term rentals management, and it's a growing company down here in South Florida. They're great. They're amazing. They're like hands-on. I mean, it's just great talking to them. So we have Asia Media. It's if you were looking for off-market deals and you want to be able to run it through a pay-per-click, that's the company to go to. And windows and sliding doors. I hear all the time and on the chat like, oh, who's looking for? Like I'm looking for a window person. So these people, they get you. They understand you're an investor. So we'll find a way to make things work. So yeah, and then myself and Atlantic River. Thanks to my brother, we have cameras, social media management. I do appreciate his help with my Instagram because I don't have time for that. So little by little growing it, and that's it. So today we have a very special guest. I've known him for over a year so far, but this is the first time we actually met in person. So we've been talking for a while, and he's been featured in Bigger Pockets like 2 times. So that's one of my bucket lists. I know some people in the industry that's like, oh, Bigger Pockets checklist. But he has been able to make it happen just because his action speaks louder than his own voice. I will say that, and but his voice is pretty good too. Like he can sway you into great things that will benefit you as well. So without further ado, we have Anthony here, and I would like to start with quick tell us who you are and your bio, how you started, and yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank everybody that came out tonight to hear some random guy from Bigger Pockets speak at a real estate investing network. So I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
I am pretty young. I've gotten that rejection a lot of times with business partners in the past. So I hope you see value in what we're saying tonight. I've been real estate investing for about 5 years. Like 5.5 years. I've done everywhere from fix and flips, Airbnb, hard money lending, commercial lending, transactional funding, you name it, I've probably done it. And I wanted to, coming into this initially, because I'm prior military, so I've been in the military for the last 10.5 years. I just got out in April, hence the beard. I finally get to grow a beard. The cool thing was, I had the opportunity and the time in the military to build something very powerful on the way out, right? So what I wanted to do was replace my Coast Guard income with real estate, active or passive income, right? And I applaud everyone here today that has taken action into actually real estate investing. I don't know if anybody's not gotten started yet, you're on the fence of getting into it. I applaud everyone here for either taking action for getting here tonight, listening to me, or actively real estate investing. So good on you guys, because the first step for me was so hard because there's such a barrier to entry with real estate, right? You think you have to have all this money, you don't have connections. People are naysaying you, especially like your internalized network at your job. They don't want to see you succeed more than you succeed at the job, right?
Yeah.
Anybody experiencing that at their work? Like they're doing more than what they're supposed to be doing at work, and people are like, no, you shouldn't be doing that, you're gonna fail or whatever. I experienced that a lot in the Coast Guard, and it made me realize like I'm really a product of the people who I surround myself with, right? So I wanted to make sure that I was surrounding myself with high net worth individuals who are doing exactly what I want to do, right? Good?
You're good. Yeah.
So I actually found my business partner on Facebook Marketplace. He's been on Facebook Marketplace here. Yeah. So I actually found him way back when Facebook Marketplace was first started. He put up an ad for private money lending. And I was like, man, this guy's done 400 deals and he's looking for private money lending. I'm going to hit him up. I only had like 15K to my name, 25K to my name, whatever it was at the time. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But I hit him up on Facebook Messenger. I said, hey, listen, I'm interested. Are you? It ghosted me. I was like, well, there goes my shot. But my superpower I've learned to develop over time was, number one, I don't give up when I'm trying to provide value to somebody or solve a problem, right? I make sure that they understand who I am, what I'm trying to bring to the table, and if they want to decide to not deal with me at that point, cool, I'll take the rejection, right? It's just a learning point for me to continue going forward. So I messaged him back 2 weeks later, and I told him, listen, I have hard money, right? I had a hard money lender or whatever. And he's like, well, I've never done one. I got a response out of it.
And so he's done 400. Sorry.
Yeah, he's
done 400
he's
deals
done 400 plus flips at this point.
with no hard money lender.
No hard money lending. All private capital transactions,
Okay.
raising private money,
Okay.
et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, I said, listen, let me get into a flip with you, okay? Actually, let me come meet you to see if you're not a Saudi prince that's gonna, take my money and ship it back to the motherland and give me 100% ROI or whatever the hell it was, right? So I don't want smoke and mirrors at this point. So I flew down. I met the guy off of Facebook Marketplace at a used car dealership that he owned, and I was like sketched out at this point. I was like, dude, what the hell did I have my wife with me. I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into? I walk in this used car dealership. The ceilings are super low, like the old style buildings. They're like 7-foot ceilings or whatever. And I'm like hitting my head on the ceiling. I'm like, there's not a lot of lighting in here. I'm like, dude, this is fucking sketchy. Excuse my language, sorry. I'm prior military, guys, my language. So I see this guy sitting in the corner and I'm like, hey, do you know where Neil is? Like, I'm looking for Neil, and he's like, he stands up, like, super ecstatic, and I'm like, whoa! He's like, goes to shake my hand, he's like, I'm Neil. And I was like, so I had two options. I shake his hand, or I run to the door and get the hell out of there, because I don't know what the hell was happening, right? I've never been in this position in my life. I didn't know who this guy was. So I shook his hand, of course. I'm a glutton for punishment. And he goes, you're Tony from Facebook, right? I was like, yeah, been talking to you the last week. I flew in, and we're supposed to meet today. And he's like, oh yeah, okay, cool. So he sits down. He's like, I want to show you something. He opens up a business bank account on his computer, like $500,000 in there. Opens up another business bank account at another firm, $500,000 in there. All these banks had all this cash in there. He's like, I didn't show you that because I want to brag. I wanted to show you that for you to feel that warm and fuzzy about who I am and how much money I make, right? Because if I've done 400 deals, I should have some money to show for it, right? And I said, okay, well, show me some HUDs. I was like, show me some HUDs, because I learned that on bigger pockets, right? Show me the HUDs, man. If you flipped all these deals, show me the HUDs. He's like, oh, okay. Pulls out a filing cabinet. It like extends 6 foot out, and it has like 400 individual folders with every property address and HUD and this, that, and the other. I'm like, this guy's got to be legit, man. I'll save you the boring part, but we went and looked at the properties that were currently being flipped. He had 32 of them. It was a long day for me. And at the end of it, I did what I do best, and I said, well, what's next? How do we partner together? And what's my equity share? Like, what am I making on these deals? I'm bringing a lot of value. And the guy's like, well, you can get like 10% of the profit. And I was like, damn, only 10%? I was thinking about 40. And he goes, I'm not sure how you know how this works, man. I don't need you. You need me. And I was like, damn, okay. So I'm like retracing my steps. I'm like, I'll do 30. And he goes, okay, let's do 30. 33 deals later, we're 50-50 partners in Airbnbs. All of our flips are 50-50 partnerships. I have 7 current projects going on with him with a combined net profit of about $1.7 million. I made myself a millionaire in 4.5 years investing with him. And then during that entire time of the 4.5 years, mind you, I'm still active duty, guys, right? So if you're trying to leave your job or your W-2 for financial freedom, it's possible. I'm a freaking guy. Like, I did it, right? I built a hard money relationship with a hard money lender that was national. I told him, listen, you're not on bigger pockets, bro. I can bring you more clients. I want you to pay me $1,500 a month as a marketing fee, and I want a 0.5 point on every hard money loan I bring to you to close. $60 million in hard money later. So I guess the moral of the story I'm trying to speak here, and I'll keep it short so we can kind of get into some questions and stuff, is first off, I appreciate you guys being here to listen to my story. That was short form. If you guys want the long form, go to Bigger Pockets, listen to my story. But you don't know what you're capable of until you put yourself in a position of, I'm a back against the wall operator. I love being in the fire. I love making relationships and providing value and making these alternate income revenues. Like, everyone wants to diversify here. We don't want to just be stuck on fix and flips or buying holds or commercial real estate or this and that. It's about the diversification. Where can I make my revenue streams from? And how many of them can I have? And how do I fuel those, right? Because the average millionaire has 7
streams of income.
7 streams of income. I have 9. And I just started a life insurance company, and that's going to make 7
I saw
more.
that. Like, hey, that's new.
So now I have 14 streams of income. So what I'm saying is, and don't take this in a bragging way, I applaud you guys for coming out here and listening to my story. I'm here for any questions you guys have. Be your own marketer. When you reach out to somebody that's doing what you want to do, reach out to them with your hand out, handing them something, not asking to receive first, okay? The second thing is take a chance on yourself. You don't know what you're capable of until you're in the fire. And then you build this revenue stream that was a hobby at first, or what you thought was going to be a hobby, and now it's a full-time income. Because I made $120,000 on hard money transactions last year. That's a great salary. That's 6 figures, guys, on something that I thought was a hobby. And now this year I'm going to clear $300,000 on just hard money because I've kind of ventured in the commercial space. So you guys are capable of it. Just know what your worth is. Reach out to the people who you want to be and try to build value for them.
Yeah, that's a very important thing. And you know, you said something above a mastermind, and one of the things that they always talk about is like, don't apologize to be awesome, for being awesome. Don't apologize for being awesome. And yeah, because you know, he might talk about all these accomplishments, but it's possible. It is possible for any of us. And we were talking with Flo a few minutes ago, and we were talking about like how you come off as weirdo when in your own personal life you start to accomplish these different new things that you didn't think they were possible, but because you were able to expose yourself, be out there, and then just follow that little thing that you had in your mind that you couldn't. You just didn't know how to explain it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to see. And then boom, the opportunity came and you were prepared to receive that opportunity. And I want you to talk a little bit more about, honestly, I want to know what was going through your mind at that particular time. Because yes, you were exposing yourself to new information, bigger pockets, new books, and then boom, you see this ad on Facebook. And then what got you so obsessed with, you know what, I mean, just go ahead, let's fly over there and let's go against, I don't know, let's maybe talk about it with my wife, and she wasn't pretty much 100% on board with that. Like, what are you doing? So I just want to know a little bit more about your mindset at that particular time.
Yeah, so prior to partnering with my current business partner for flips, I had done a flip in New Jersey where I was stationed at the time. Atlantic City, New Jersey, where I was stationed at. And I was listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast while I was at work, and I had a individual come in, one of my buddies, and he was like, dude, you listen to that podcast? Do you like invest in real estate or anything? And I'm like, no, but I want to. Like, I've already read Rich Dad Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrant and all this other stuff, and I'm saving a ton of money now because I've cut out a bunch of expenses. I have like 15 grand to invest with, 17 grand. He's like, dude, let's get a flip. Let's go into a flip together. And I said, let's fucking go. Let's do it. Excuse my language. 23 days later, we were in our own flip. I had been the gap funder, so I don't know if we have newer people here, but gap funding is basically you're bringing a down payment for a hard money loan. Okay, so if I contacted you today and I said, hey man, I got a deal, it's going to make X amount. I want you to be a partner on the deal, but it's $25,000 to get into the door. You're now my gap funder. I send you a promissory note with the interest that you're going to be making over a 12-month span, and now you're my gap funder. We might do a joint venture, you might hold a mortgage note on the property, whatever. However you want to solidify your interest in the property as a gap funder, you will. So I gap funded the deal, but I got 50% of the equity. So if it's sold for 100 grand, I was going to make 50 grand, right? Just to put that in perspective. I made 100% ROI in 98 days, right? In some, a lot of you guys are like, what the fuck? Like, how is this even possible? I have gotten lucky, but I've also put myself out there for opportunity, right? So I made 100% ROI in about 93 days, 98 days, whatever it was. And when I got that wire, something clicked in my brain, man. It was crazy. I was like, dude, this is too easy. And then I realized I got fucking lucky on that deal, right? Nobody gives 100% ROI on the gap funding, right? If anybody received any more than 100% ROI on a gap funding, I want to talk to you after this, because I'm going to gap fund all your deals. Anyways, so getting back into, I had a little bit of one deal of experience kind of meeting my business partner. The second deal that I did ever, I lost 6 grand on.
Oh.
It's a school of hard knocks. I learned a lot of information about that. But it was basically like a lease to buy option with rehab, right? So that, you ever heard of the sandwich deal?
Yes.
So you got the bread, you got the filling, and you got the bread. So you're making a lease to buy option. You're supposed to make money 3 times: the down payment, the monthly lease payment for rental or whatever income, and then the exit balloon payment for you holding the property, right? So I was like, dude, I love the lease to buy option. I want to get into these. This is easy. I sent the guy 6 grand. He's like, hey, I'm going to use this for rehab. We're going to do this, this, and this to the property, and we're going to rent it out. I'm partnered with
a tenant.
He was partnered with a credit repair company where they had a ton of people that were looking for lease to buy options to get their credit up, right? He was helping them.
Oh my God, that's so clever.
It's clever, right? So I put you in a lease to buy option. I raised your credit score over the last 12 to 18 months. And then when you get in a position to buy with your credit score, you buy the property from us and we exit, right? So we get 7 months into this deal. The rehab was done month 2. I got pictures and stuff. I'm not going to go too much into detail because it's a powerful lesson that I wanted to note in on, but I don't even know how to protect yourself from that. I had a paper or napkin promissory note for the guy. I had sent him 6 grand unbeknownst. The guy literally, I was on deployment in Washington, D.C. He drove up from North Carolina or over from North Carolina to meet me in person. And if you guys think I'm good at selling, this guy could sell anything. Because he sold me on the dream of making a 300% return on my cash, right? So 6 grand was going to turn into $18,000. And I was like, this is amazing. It's like my first deal, right? Where I made 100% ROI, except I'm getting a 300% ROI this time.
Yeah.
And the wire was supposed to hit a certain day. I'm out celebrating with my wife in Clearwater, Florida, guys. We're having a beautiful meal on the water that I can't afford. We're having beautiful rosé and shrimp cocktails and this and that. And 4:49 comes, and I text the guy. I was like, "Hey man, I haven't received the wire yet. Isn't the title company closing soon?" Never heard from him. I call him, and by this point, my wife's like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're good. It's gonna happen, right? It has to happen, right? I did everything right. I thought I did everything right. I lost $6,000, and plus the meal that I bought for $280, and I was like, damn, bro, that's a hit. So I'm glad and take my lesson as a lesson to yourself. I'm really glad I lost $6,000, guys, because in the grand scheme of things, $6,000 is still a lot of money to me, and it should be for everyone here. I don't care if you're a deca millionaire. If $6,000 isn't a headache for you, that's a problem, right? You're a little bit lost in the sauce, as we say.
Yeah.
So $6,000 was a pretty big loss for me, but I took that knowledge that I gained from protecting myself financially, legally, having a lawyer draw up the promissory note, making sure the joint venture contract was in place, not doing a paper napkin promissory note, and not sending a guy $6,000 directly. Because how many people here sent an investor money directly, right?
That was a $6,000 class.
It was.
Yeah. So I have a question. What made you? Okay, so you started working with this guy. What was the click of? Oh, let's start doing short-term rentals, because I'm assuming at that point, like, you have no experience. So you went, you know what? Let's figure this out. How did all that came about?
Who here has heard of AirDNA?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Every property that we flip, I run on AirDNA to make sure that I'm not missing out on a golden opportunity, right? So to answer that question, the property that we got under contract was a direct mail marketing property. We were direct to the seller. Okay, we bought it for $335. It was in Old Town Clearwater in an unincorporated area, so no Airbnb restrictions, whatever. Right? We converted the house from a 3.2 to a 5.2 because we had 2,200 square foot in a garage conversion that was occupied by a hot tub at the time.
Okay.
So we had taken the hot tub out and built a room there, and then built another room inside the garage, which didn't have a room there. So now we have a 5-bed, 3-bath that sleeps 14 people. When I plugged that into AirDNA, just hypothetically, it said your gross projected revenue on an annual basis is $188,000. Wow. And I was like,
we have to do this.
That's more than we would have made if we flipped it, right? So I was like, I told my business partner, and this had a pool, it had a big backyard, it's a corner lot, so you don't have to worry about the neighbors on the side of you. It's got beautiful like curvature from the road. So I was like, screw it, I got capital, let's take a chance on this thing. So we did a full rehab. It was an $85,000 rehab. Gut. Like, this thing was from the 1970s, right? Gerber carpet, like stackable like oven and microwave type thing in the kitchen. We blew all that out, made an open concept, built that 5th room so we could house another queen bed to put more people in it. And what we did was we found, unknowingly, we found a niche in the market where the majority of the Airbnbs in Clearwater that were available only slept like 8 to 10 people. Now, if you got a big family, or you're friends with a family, you guys vacation often together, you're looking for a bigger Airbnb. So we noticed that there wasn't a bigger Airbnb on the market. We could have kept it at 3.2 and slept 8, right? But when we pushed that meter up on AirDNA to 14 people, and we saw that projected income go from $80,000 a year from a 3.2 sleeping 8 to $180,000 a year sleeping 14. Guys, take notes. If you're finding a niche, play with that calculator. If you guys got properties that you're sitting on or whatever, maybe a pool close to the beach, has amenities, whatever, play with that calculator a little bit because it's freaking spot on. So obviously we've had a dip in Airbnb revenue over the last couple of years because of the quote-unquote recession I don't believe we're in. But we're going to make $148,000 this year gross on that single property. So with the calculation of whatever recession we're in, that's what we're making on one property. Now, this is a Airbnb. I don't know if you guys have heard that
Yeah.
terminology used
Yeah,
before.
I did that with my deal.
Yeah, so it's a Airbnb. So we have 170,000 in equity in the property still. So for me, when I buy a property, I'm looking for 2 out of 3 exits. I can either wholesale this deal. Actually, there's probably 4. I can either wholesale this deal, right? And there's enough meat on the bone for me to make an assignment fee. I can flip this property and I can make my net projected revenue of $60K minimum per property. I can midterm rent this property to people or nurses that are in the area that are close to hospitals, or I can Airbnb it. I have to have 2 out of the 4 check my box before I buy a property. Period. Because guess what? If you buy that property to flip and the market shifts, your equity is gone. Now you have to figure out how to pay the bills because you can't sell it, right? So having multiple exit strategies on every property you purchase is key. And I want you guys to think about that in the future. Run the numbers for every scenario. Airbnb, long-term rent, midterm, or flip, or wholesale, period.
Wow. So when okay, so you started you saw that you were gonna flip that property, and you saw the niche of like, man, like this is an opportunity for us to take over. After that, what can you tell us about your experience of like dealing with all these leads that come from Bigger Pockets, the platform, and what can you see, like what patterns can you see of like what people are looking for, what is it that they're trying to do? Yeah, just want to expand.
So you're talking more about the hard money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a hard money guy. I'm a hard money lender, guys, and commercial lender. I don't know if I explained that at the beginning, but we're the top rated lender on Bigger Pockets. So most of you guys know what Bigger Pockets is. House Max Funding Nationwide, the company I work with, we're the top rated lender across the entire platform. Anybody know who Tarek Al Musa is in here? Yeah, selling Sunset, whatever. Super.
He was one of the top names on fix and flop in HGTV.
Yeah.
The couple.
So our hard money lending company is actually partnered with him. We fund all his students' deals. So Homeschooled by Tarek is one of his coaching things, and we fund all of his deals and stuff. When I got to Bigger Pockets, I had noticed that when I got hard money for my first deal I did with my business partner in Clearwater, I was working with a lender, and the lender kind of I was like, I had closed up primary residence before and knew how straight and narrow that should be, right? The W-2s, the tax returns, bank statements, credit score, all that stuff. And I gave this guy this deal, and he was like, yeah, 10% down, 799, 1 point. I was like, that was pretty easy, man. Mm-hmm. I was like, are you on Bigger Pockets? And he's like, what the hell is Bigger Pockets? And I was like, we'll stop right there. I'm going to pitch myself to you as I pitched myself to him. I said, hey, listen, after this deal had been 3 or 4 months in, right? I noticed that he wasn't on the platform because I had listened to the podcast enough. I made a premium account or whatever account, and I had access to like the tools that they had at that time. And I was looking for the hard money lenders, and I didn't see that company on there. And I was like, dude, like I'm gonna pitch myself to this guy. I have to. I'm gonna bring him to Bigger Pockets because I can increase his revenue through his company, right? So I was like pep talking myself in the driveway at my property, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna tell him I want 2,000 is too much. Maybe 1,500. No, yeah, 1,500. Give me $1,500 for marketing. So he hired me for $1,500 a month. He agreed to it, dude. I was like, damn, I should have went with the 2,000. He probably paid for it. Yeah. I was like, that's a BMW payment. No, I'm just kidding. I don't buy liabilities, I buy assets. Just kidding, my BMW Toyota. No, I'm kidding. So I pitched myself at $1,500 a month. He agreed. We signed a whatever agreement I came up with. I was like, this sounds good. Send it. And he signed it, and I was like, shit, I get $1,500 a month.
No ChatGPT at that time.
And my agreement in perpetuity is I get 0.5 point on every loan that I close. Period. So if it's a $20 million loan, what's half of $20 million? It's $100K. I make $100,000 for putting this into his inbox. That's crazy. But because I realized the opportunity of growing his business and adding value to his company, realizing he wasn't on the platform that generated the most amount of leads, he entrusted me to get us there. So I took the company logo, I took the company name, I made my own kind of posts, I started posting in the forums, and dude, it was like somebody set a fire under like a dry kindling. We had 13 deals come through the pipeline in the first week. I made $11,000 my first week with them, plus my $1,500 marketing commission, right? So this quickly grew into a stabilized revenue stream that I had actually met him through. I wouldn't be here today if he had inquired about hard money through Bigger Pockets. So I appreciate you bringing me on, brother. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we've closed about $60 million in hard money loans over the last 5 years. You guys do the math. It's been a pretty lucrative kind of side hustle for me. Thais is here. She saw me taking calls earlier about hard money. It literally is at any point in the night, right? Because us investors, we don't sleep. If a deal comes through our pipeline or our email, we hear our little buzz go off at 10 o'clock at night. We're like, shit, that might be a wholesale deal. I'm gonna look at it, right? Who does that in here? I know I do. I don't miss opportunity because that deal might go under contract at midnight, but I missed it, right? So I have investors calling me. This is the difference between our company and other nationwide companies is you're working with me. I'm an investor. I know what you need. If you have a deal, you got to put an offer in today and you need a pre-approval letter, I'm getting it to you in the next 15 minutes. Check your email. It's in there, right? That's the difference between working with quote unquote a pencil pusher in a cubicle that's never done investing, right? And an investor that's actually in the game getting shit done.
And you mentioned you're doing insurance, right? Life insurance?
Yeah, so to diversify my income, guys, we should all have diversified income. Real estate's great.
But actually, I want you to talk about a little bit about that. The reason why is because typically the people that I know that got into that venue, it's because, they started having kids or, I don't know, things happened. They're older, 40, 50 years old. But the younger people here, like, I just want you to tell them how important it is. And yes, it might sound biased because, yeah, he does it, but I'm not biased and I'm doing it. I don't make anything about that, but I do actually recommend. That's something that at least pay attention, look at it, hear about it, because in the future, it will benefit you if you want to actually invest in real estate. Because, there's some other venues that you can actually leverage from what you gain on that aspect. And yeah, I just want you to elaborate a little bit on that.
First off, who's had a family member pass away?
I'm a family member pass away.
Everyone here, right? And not to play on your heartstrings, right? But I had a buddy die in high school. He was 16 years old. He was walking through the woods hunting. I was born in North Carolina. And a tree branch broke off a tree in the winter and hit him in the back of the head. He died 17 hours later. And the parents started a GoFundMe for his funeral because he didn't have life insurance and the parents didn't have life insurance on him, right? And looking back at that painstaking time in the parents' life, especially that was my buddy, right? The parents didn't raise enough for the GoFundMe. So instead of burying their son, which they wanted to, so they wanted something to visit, they ended up only being able to afford to cremate him. That's tough as a parent to make that decision, guys. Now, off from the heartstrings, I wanted to share that story because that's the story that resonates most with me. That's what I think about every time I sell a life insurance policy to a family. The investor aspect, which you guys want to hear, is the infinite banking method, right? Who here has heard of the infinite banking method? Sort of? Okay. Don't buy index universal life insurance. Please. Save yourself that amount. Who here has life insurance policies? Okay. Couple, right? Actually, about half. That's great. So the reason why I diversified my income or my revenue streams through life insurance is not only I came from a service background, a public service background with the military. Second to that, I'm able to kind of segue from the military when I retired to a public service job, right? And I work from home, it's great. But the cool thing is getting with investors like yourselves to modify and set up a policy for the infinite banking method, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, the infinite banking method, blah, blah, blah. You have to have money to fund it, correct, right? It's going to be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month. I'm going to hit you with that. That's a lot of money for a lot of people, right? But if you do it right, in 5 years, you become your own bank. You can fund your own deals. Your tax advantages and tax breaks through the life insurance is amazing. Is every interest or every premium payment you pay into a life insurance policy is tax free. It's tax deductible at the end of the year. When you borrow money from the tax or from the life insurance policy, it's tax free. You pay it right back to the policy whenever the flip or project's done. You refinance, you pay that back. Now, obviously, you have your capital gains, which are not tax free, but all the money that you borrowed from the life insurance policy is interest and tax free.
Yes.
Right. So you start becoming your own bank, and a lot of people can't or are not in a position to be able to afford that. That's fine. Take care of your family. How much who here is in $1 million more in debt? Real estate or personal or anything? Right. I'm the only one here with more than $1 million in real estate debt. Okay, we got one. I love it. Thank you for sharing, man.
Uh-huh.
I have $3.5 million in real estate debt right now. Okay? If those projects go south, guess who has to pay for that if I pass away? My wife. She's a 50-50 owner in the LLC with me. So if I pass away tomorrow, she's stuck with $1.5 million in real estate. She's got to pay $23,000 in interest payments a month on, plus the rehab expenses and everything else that's cost incurred on those properties, right? Having an ongoing life insurance policy, especially when you're taking on massive debt, is so key to your success as an entrepreneur. And not only that, you're protecting your family. At the end of the day, we don't want to leave all this encumbrance on our family if we pass away, and it's not if, it's when, everybody.
Yeah,
we don't know when we're gonna pass.
And not even that. It's like when I got mine, it was at that time I didn't have anything. So I was just starting in the wholesale business, and I was starting to make some money, and I just realized, like, man, like I see investing in real estate so far out. What can I do? And I'm like, you know what? If I die, something happens to me, I have nothing to give to my family. So let me just open this, simple account. But with that, you start learning a little bit more, and then, oh my God, like I should open a whole life insurance. And there's some basic ones, maybe, and then you start upgrading little by little. When you see your banking, okay, I can afford a little bit more. I can afford a little bit more. And in the meantime, you're stacking. That's the key word, stacking. You want to be able to stack because time is passing regardless. It's passing. So either the money grows somewhere else or it dies somewhere else. So I think that's like the main key thing here.
The biggest thing, I'm kind of judging the room a little bit, trying to get a gauge of everyone's real estate experience. Who here has done 1 to 3 deals? Okay, beautiful. Who here has done more than 5 deals? Okay. What about 10 plus? 20 plus?
Yeah, wholesale.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Is that wholesale or are you fixing flipping? Okay, beautiful. 20 plus deals this guy has. And then the guy in the back, that's amazing, man. Congratulations on your success. That's awesome. When you have that amount of debt, and you know what I'm talking about in the back, you've seen some pretty crazy credit card bills. I know I have. My biggest credit card bill, I'm just going to share. I'm not too proud of it.
Yeah, no.
$109,000. I had to pay that shit off like my personal cash because the draw didn't come in time from the hard money lender, right? I had to pay out 109 grand. Now imagine this. I pass away. Hopefully I don't. My wife has to pay that $109,000 credit card bill off, or she goes to collections and they put a lien on her house, right? So your whole life insurance policy, and I'm specifically, I don't do index universal life, and this is not a sales pitch. I don't care if I ever never talk to any of you guys. This is pure education, right? Index universal life meant wholesale, or sorry,
Whole life.
Whole life, you're going to get a 5% return annualized
No matter what.
forever. And if you lock in young, I don't know how many people are below 30 years old here. If you lock in young, you're going to get a pretty sizable amount of coverage for not a whole lot of money, like $150, $200 a month, right? Every premium you pay in that whole life account grows at 5% annualized. So you start getting a reoccurring compounding interest perspective where cash value starts building up in your account pretty quickly, especially if you have $1 million, $2 million, etc., right? Not only that, but getting something to protect your family against the debts that you have as a real estate investor. Why wouldn't you have that? You guys all have cell phone bills, right? Car insurance, home insurance, renter's insurance. That's all non-negotiable. That's to protect the bank. Who's protecting you and your family? Your cash? You want all your hard work and cash to go to the family? When you could be paying an unequal exchange in value, $100 a month, $200 a month, and they get $1 million payout? It's different. Think about that.
Yeah, and not only that, like since when you do direct mailing, right? Yeah. So you're dealing with these distressed homeowners. When you deal with distressed homeowners all day long, and you see that most of them, a good portion of it, they have an issue going on. They're distressed. They're distressed, and that's like a reality check. Then you start to see it like in yourself, like, oh my God, what am I doing to myself? And if you're in real estate, you're gonna be able to see that often, like on and on. When you're dealing with other people that they're losing their homes because they weren't able to prepare themselves. So you don't want to be on that side. You want to be able to be on the other side. And I think it's like a fair, nice warning just to think about it. Just to think about it. We're not selling life insurance, but that's something that I actually wanted to talk about here in Children USA. But it was great that he actually seen that in this.
I'm not plugging myself. I want you guys to think about it, do your own research on your own time. It is something that you should have. It shouldn't be. We're ill-educated on that regard. We're a little bit ill-educated on that. We're not educated enough on why we're not protecting ourselves as a net worth individual, right?
Yeah.
And even people that have assets that are paid off, they're like, oh, my house is paid off. Okay, who the hell is paying the capital gains when you pass that property on to your son
kids,
or your kids in the will? You got to pay capital gains tax on that. And people don't realize that. Who's paying the $45,000 up front for the capital gains tax?
Yeah.
And then
that's a good topic. Yeah.
Yeah. So I tell people, like, listen, if you're not setting up for yourself, if you have paid off property, set the life insurance up to pay the capital gains tax and the personal income tax that your family's going to receive when you pass that property on to them. Because they're going to sell it. Nobody wants to live in grandma's house, right? Or mom's house that's built in the 1970s and it hasn't been upgraded in forever. There's 1% of real estate investors in the general population. They're not going to go in and be like, this is a flip. I'm going to do a $60,000 rehab and sell it for this. They're going to be like, no, I'm going to sell it on the market. Whoever wants to pay for it, pay for it. Capital gains, personal income, all that shit.
Yep. So I'm going to open up to questions. If you guys have any questions. Yep. What's up?
How do you organize your day and how's your structure? Do you have a PA? Have a team? How do you execute on a daily basis? Because you obviously have a bunch of things that you're driving at.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I like having a personal touch with the businesses that I own, okay? But only to a certain effect, right? So if I have a lead come through for, say, hard money, right? And it's a $100K deal, it's a newer investor, it's a $20K rehab, whatever. I'll send that to my business partner to work. but I generated them. I talked to them. What I'll do is I'll make the soft landing. I'll pre-qualify them over the phone, and I'll just send that on, right? For the real estate aspects, my real estate company, guys, is basically automated at this point. It took me 5.5 years to kind of get to this point, but my transactions, my bills, my credit card payments, my interest payments, all the rehab, the project management, all that stuff is basically automated at this point. I spend maybe 5 hours a week on my real estate company, and that's with the Airbnb, right? So when you guys are building your real estate, and I'll touch on the other things too, when you guys are building your real estate companies, look for system implementation, because your time is now valuable. You have to value your time. I didn't tell you guys, but I also own a one-on-one real estate coaching company as well, where I am the guy. You book a call with me and you are getting on Zoom, I'm solving your problems, I'm setting up a marketing system, we're gonna market, we're gonna get properties under contract, I'm gonna fund them for you. I do all that. That's the only time inclusion I have, is like, that straps my time a little bit. I only take 3 or 4 people on at a given time, just because I simply don't have enough time, but I still want to kind of make that change for people who come in, but you have to be ultra qualified. I will not take you if you have a 620 credit score and 15K in the bank and you're just looking to get started, right? You have to be an established investor with a good credit score, good liquidity position, and an idea of what you want to do. That makes it easy for me to work with you. Fourth, my life insurance company is automated. Every lead that comes in, I work, or my team works. I get residuals based on my team's production, I get my own production, I get this. Everything is basically structured in an automated system. Training, leads, everything. Everything's automated. So my week, guys, at this point, I'm working maybe 20 hours a week on the 7 revenue streams that I have currently, which is not bad. I've just got really good at not wanting to work. If you're lazy, you will find a way to implement systems so you can be lazy. Because if I want to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, take the dog out for a run and watch YouTube till 2 o'clock, I can do it, and my income is not affected. So I would strategize with yourselves, implement systems to make your life easier. Because at the end of the day, what are we working hard for, guys?
Yeah.
My why, and everyone should have their why established, is time, family, and freedom. Oh, that's so cliche, Tony. I've heard that a million times. You've heard it a million times because a million people want that to be their why. I love time. I love spending time with my family. I just took off last Friday, and I'm not bragging or anything. Last Thursday, sorry. We have a group chat with our best friends who live in New York City, right? We put in there, wow, that'd be cool if I came up this weekend and just spent the weekend with you. 8 hours later, I was on a flight to fucking New York City, and I worked from there because my entire business is structured off of my cell phone and the laptop. I don't have to be present anywhere. I don't have to sign closing docs. I don't have to be in front of somebody. I don't have a boss. I'm my own boss. So I encourage you guys to kind of work towards doing that if you haven't already achieved that.
You know, that's great that you mentioned this. So, yeah, not to brag also, but at some of the flips that I've done it in, most of them I've done it not outside the state, but in other counties. And I did it on purpose because when I started, when I started in wholesale, on that particular company, it was like wholesaling in steroids. They wanted to pitch the deal sight unseen. And dude, it was hard. I'm like, man, how am I going to sell this like sight unseen, like with everything that, and I'm like, man, I have to find a way to sell this sight unseen, otherwise I'm gonna die. So I was able to figure that out. And I was trying to convince myself like it is possible. Some other investor have done it. I will do it. And then until I got to the point that now I'm financially capable of like doing a flip. Let me do that. That point came by, and I realized, like, you know what? I felt very tempted to actually go to the property. Like, I want to go, I want to see, and I'm like, no, but for like 3 years prior to that, I've been pitching buy San Jose, buy San Jose. I have to do it. I have to do it. And I think you as an investor, you might, like he said, you have to be able to take care of your time, and not only that, but trust in your ability to solve that problem, because ultimately that's what we do. We solve a problem, we fix it, and we create a solution for the end buyer. And we have to figure out a way to trust in our own ability to solve that situation, in which we don't waste time in going there like nick and pick and all that stuff, because like you said, that deal could show up. It's a deal, and you might miss it because you want to go see it, call your grandma, go there, call your aunt, and see, this is a good deal, is it not a good deal? And you may miss a good deal. So I think we have to develop that muscle on how to spot a deal and trust in that ability that you have.
I'm going to touch on that real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned to you guys, my business partner in my business, my flipping company, and all my real estate holding is in Clearwater in St. Petersburg, Florida. I live in Fort Lauderdale. I'm not driving 300 miles weekly to go check on my projects. I flipped 31 properties without even seeing the deals, from front to finish. You can do it. You have to build those systems and resources and trust in the partners that you have, and make sure you have. Hey, if you're going over 6 months on the rehab, you're taking 1% equity and giving it to me every month you're late on that.
Oof.
Because guess what? And I put this in my systems, because guess what? I got burned on one deal where my partner took 12 months to flip the property, and I made like 11 grand. And I was like, dude, my $80,000 was tied up for 12 months, and I made 11 grand. I can flip 80 grand and make it into 100% ROI over the course of a year. Why would I wait and have my top money tied up? So I was like, dude, every time you're past 6 months, I'm getting 1%, up to 3%. And then at 9 months, I start getting 3% every month late, up to 12 months. And then at 12 months, I get an extra 10%. Because guess what? My money would have been churned at this point into 3 or 4 different projects.
Yeah.
So make sure you're building those safeguards into your contracts with your business partners too, guys. For sure.
Yeah, that's yeah, and not even that, the contract. That's the biggest. Like managing the contractors, just to be on time. Like, this is a schedule. We have to finish at this particular time. Otherwise, like, time is gonna eat you up. Yep. Any other questions? Yep. Mention value.
What are you good at? Putting out on social media what you do on a daily basis as far as real estate investing is concerned, you're leaving a lot of stuff on the table. Because every relationship I've built has been through social media in some form. Whether through Bigger Pockets, which, believe it or not, is social media.
Yeah.
It's a social media platform. Instagram, I used to make a bunch of reels, TikTok, whatever. What you think is menial information is very important information to somebody that does not know anything.
Yeah.
So when I started putting out my content, I kept telling myself, like, dude, what the hell? Like, everyone should know this shit. No, they don't. I'm gonna make an educational reel about it. It engages with 8,000 people, and 4 people reach out to be like, hey, how can I learn more from you? Or, hey, I have a deal needing funding. Or, hey, I flip 200 homes a year. Do you have any private capital you want to invest, or you want to partner with me, or whatever? Relationships happen and opportunities happen through those channels. And if you're not doing it, please, if you take anything from me, who's built what I've built in the last 5 years, it's been off of social media platforms. I'm nothing special, guys. Everyone here has a beautiful face and a beautiful story to tell, an opportunity and something to bring to the table. I'm just the guy that took the chance on opportunity.
Yep.
And opportunity presented itself to me. So
that's a pretty good one to wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap it up here, so we can just chill, network, eat if you're hungry, and yeah. Oh, you have a question? Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
Hi. Hi, Tony. I'm Flo. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. It's a two-part question. So the first part is, what kept you going to the next level after level after level, whatever the it factors is, and also what's next for you? Like, what's the next destination for you?
Wow, great two-part question. So, guys, I flipped one home my first year in real estate investing. I flipped one home my second year in real estate investing. I flipped 2 homes my third year in real estate investing. Are you guys noticing a trend? Either this guy's dumb or he's a risk-averse investor, right? When I tell my students, when they come to my coaching program, we are not quantity investors. We should be quality investors. I don't care if you flipped 100 deals this year and you made $1 million. I flipped 10 deals this year, dealt with 10 times less headache than you, and also made $1 million, right? It doesn't matter how many doors you have. How much are you making per door, right? That's my first, I guess, answer to the question. The second part of the question is, what's next for me? So, as I told you guys before, my real estate kind of company is automated. My holding company is kind of automated. I am investing in future Airbnbs and stuff like that. I'm a part of a 110 unit syndication deal as a GP in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee.
Nice.
And I want to grow the shit out of my life insurance company, guys, because that in itself is a beast beyond anyone's comprehension. Like $10 million a year company, essentially in 5 years, right? And in second, I want to invest in more commercial real estate. I love the self-storage stuff. I want to get involved in if anybody's investing in self-storage here, come talk to me after. For those of you guys that don't know, self-storage operates on the same cap rate or cap rate percentage base as commercial real estate. So
but with less headache.
Commercial real estate as in like an apartment complex, right? How many apartment complexes you can buy and raise rents by 100%, people don't bitch and complain, and you have evictions, right? Self-storage can be the same way. If you're paying $50 a month in a 10 by 12 storage unit, and I raise you over the next 2 years $25 and then $25, I've raised rents by 100%, which has increased my value of my self-storage facility by 100%. Yeah. Off of GOI, guys, gross operating income, right?
And you can pretty much automate the whole process. You
can print money, and guess how many REITs are investing in self-storage right now? A lot. You put that thing in just like anything, you're gonna wholesale it to a REIT. You want to leave a little bit of skin on the bone for the REIT to eat, right? But they're only looking for like a 4 or 3 or 4 or 5% return, depending on which REIT you sell to. When you're making a 100% return, we can take 94% and give the other 6% away, right? So self-storage is really what I'm hard focused on right now, and the Airbnb potential, because it's so freaking easy to do.
Well, do you have are you managing it yourself, or you have a manager that you manage?
Anybody that hires a management company for their first Airbnb, you should fire yourself from the Airbnb, because it is too freaking easy, guys. Do not give away 20% of your gross profit to somebody who's going to do a shittier job than you are. You will figure it out, and nobody's going to care more about that Airbnb than you are yourself. Period. Yeah. I have, and I'm going to brag a little bit. You just insulted me. I'm going to brag a little bit. I have my Airbnb, I'm a super host. We started it in December. I'm a super host. I have 39 5-star reviews on my Airbnb. And the reason why I have that many reviews is because if you stay on my Airbnb, I'm going to make sure you have a 5-star stay, because I'm going to be and this goes into time allocation for your Airbnb, right? What is your time worth? If it takes me 2 hours to manage an Airbnb, but I'm going to make $3,000 by answering messages and providing services or whatever, what's my time value at this point? It's $1,500 an hour. Who makes $1,500 an hour here? Nobody. Except for me, of course, because I have my own Airbnb. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not bragging.
You're-
But self-manage, because it doesn't take that much time. People have this misconstrued, like vision of like, oh my God, it's going to take 10, 20, 15, whatever hours to manage an Airbnb. Remote lock, I don't know if you guys are taking notes.
yeah.
Remote lock, turn on for your Airbnb cleaners. Airbnb automatically sends automated messages that you can set up by yourself.
To the cleaner.
And Price Labs does all your pricing strategies. That's it. That's all you need. And then you have your Nest thermostat that you can kind of lock out and do whatever you want with. And then what else am I missing?
Noise aware.
Noise aware. That's it. I have Ring.
Yeah, right.
That's it. And they're only by the pool deck for liability reasons. Because I don't allow children under 10 years old by the pool without their parents watching them.
You only have one Airbnb?
I only have one Airbnb, brother. Now, when I do grow to, here's my cap, 5. I can safely manage 5 Airbnbs with my time allocation. Because remember, you're paying yourself to manage this Airbnb rather, and I know where you're going. And I love you for it. I'm not crapping on you at any point, but for the majority of people who own Airbnbs, guys, it is a mom and pop that saw an opportunity to make their property into an Airbnb and they want to throw it out there to see what kind of money it makes. It doesn't matter about profit optimization at that point. If you can make my job easier or my life easier because I don't want to deal with people and I'm 60 years old, you can have my Airbnb. Take 10 or 15% of the profits. Don't charge me more than $10.
So in my defense, the reason I hired but it's okay. I mean, so I met the guy in an Airbnb course that I purchased to learn, like what the heck, and so I knew everything that needed to be done and you know, so I met the guy in the Facebook chat, and I qualified. I spoke with like a few guys, and the reason why I hired the guy is because, well, he knows the same systems that I know, and I really don't want to. I don't even want to text anybody complaining about anything. I don't even want to, because I'm hosting the whole day. I'm hearing people complaining about their life situation all day long. So I mean, that was pretty much the whole thing. So I mean, like he said, like strategically, if you need somebody that wants to manage your investment property, I mean, by all means.
The only thing I'll tell you is make sure you're paying your cleaners very well. Okay? Because your cleaners are your eyes and your ears of your property no matter what. And when you're paying a cleaner very well, they're willing to go above and beyond for a little meticulous bullshit like I have. Hey, take the cobwebs out of the cage, the pool cage that we have. Make sure you're adding water to the pool when they're splashing out of it. Make sure you're watering the plants. Restack the Jenga, right? They're willing to do that type of stuff, but they're also telling me, hey, your freaking stove handle broke. Well, who the hell broke it? I'll get a guy over there to fix it because I don't want the next client
to see that.
To bitch about it. Now, guys, I'm 100% occupied from... Shit, let me get this right because you guys are going to fact check me. I know it. June to August, the last week in August, I'm 100% occupied. I don't have time to make repairs. I need to know about it ASAP. And then work with my tenants to make sure that they're okay with me coming over while they're at the beach to fix stuff, right? But she is my eyes and ears, and I pay her $350 per cleaning. I don't make money on cleaning fees.
No, it's pretty good.
I make sure she is paid well.
Yeah.
And that will make or break your Airbnb. You got a bad cleaner? Go ahead and back me up on this one, brother. If you got a bad cleaner, you have a bad product, you have a bad Airbnb, you have bad reviews, you get no profit.
Yeah, I think they're very good at that. That's one of the biggest forte. Yeah.
One of the most important parts is cleaning sector. You want to make sure you have a cleaner you can trust that like you said, that will let you before going the guest lets you, because then if the guest lets you go, they're going to leave a bad review, and that puts you lower on
Yep.
And make sure you're donating to Airbnb cause. So I did 1% of my gross revenue towards Airbnb donation, and the algorithm loved seeing that. And unbeknownst to me, I was boosted to the top of the page, and I got like 7 freaking bookings in a week off of just starting a 1% donation, which
Wow.
I since seized, by the way.
Okay, that's a good tip. So guys, I'm gonna wrap it up so that we can, network, and if you want to meet Anthony, you want to talk to him, and if you want to reach out to anyone here, let's chill and keep doing real estate. Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Okay.
coming out. I appreciate it.